What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 344 of Cocktails in the War Room. I am your host, Mistress Carrie. Welcome to the War Room, where we gather every Tuesday night at 8:30 to talk about life, to talk about music, to be a support system and celebrate the wins and also mourn the losses. So we've been doing this since March 14th of 2020. We did 80 nights in a row through the pandemic, turned Cocktails in the War Room into a weekly show, and it does not take long for the show to be completely derailed by the hounds from hell Wednesday and Friday, who apologize for the delay. We were having a little pug scuffle here, and things got a little destroyed here in the War Room. So I apologize for the delay. What's up, Ash and Marcy, Mr. Voorhees, Bish, Carol, Keith, Sherry is here, Donna and Travis, also Denise and Betty. Sherry is here. For anybody that doesn't know, this is Wednesday, and that's where you can find her on Instagram at Wednesday the Goth Pug. Her baby sister Friday is the troublemaker. Oh, here she is, the troublemaker. So it's usually right around now we have the best intentions with the show, and then it just goes completely off the rails and we blame the pugs. So they have been fighting like this for like the last 15 minutes. I don't know what has gotten into them, but they are wound up and ready to go. I want to warn you guys, and the backstage pass holders know this. I have been battling my shoulder. I got diagnosed with frozen shoulder or adhesive capsulitis, the medical term for it, in my left shoulder after getting it a few years ago on my right shoulder. Hey, you're being very fresh and loud. Can you just turn it down a little? Do you see the teasing that's happening with Wednesday right now? Do you say she's doing it on purpose? Yeah. So in order to try to attack this thing hard and try to get some of the inflammation down, they put me on some high-test steroids, which I have been on for like the last 5 days. So I am feeling superhuman right now. So if I talk too fast tonight, if you're trying to figure out, is she on something? The answer is yes. The irony of the whole situation is that last Friday, I was broadcasting live from the Woo Sox home opener at Polar Park, and I was interviewing Roger Clemens, and I was the one on the steroids. So there you go. So welcome to Cocktails in the War Room. Thank you to everybody that joins us. Oh, do you want me to just do it this way? Do you want to just come and say hi to everybody? Yeah, I know. You like all the attention. I know. So we get together every Tuesday night live on Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, and YouTube. So wherever you're watching tonight, if you're hanging out in the War Room for the first time, cheers to you. And you got to let us know in the comments where you're watching from so that the War Room family can properly welcome you to the War Room family. It's been 344 episodes that we've been doing this, so we've become quite close. Not Friday sitting on my lap close, but close enough. So what's up, Donna and Michelle? Brett is joining us here. Jessica Bish says, I have scar tissue and arthritis in my right shoulder, so I get it. Yeah, they're trying to get the inflammation down. I went and saw physical therapy, chiropractor, primary care over the last couple of weeks. And because it's not completely frozen, so here's what happened. A few years ago, you guys know that I went to the United Arab Emirates to visit my husband while he was deployed. And while I was there, I started getting these weird twinges in my shoulder. I assumed it was from the flying. I assumed it was from the completely uncomfortable hotel room bed. And I just thought I was sleeping wrong. Well, come to find out, it was the early stages of adhesive capsulitis. And I was the idiot that was doing stuff like going on the world's longest zip line and riding the world's fastest and tallest roller coasters. So I was not taking it easy on the shoulder the way that they would have told me had I known what the hell was going on. By the time I found out what was going on a few years ago with my shoulder, it completely froze. And when I mean freeze, if you've never had adhesive capsulitis, your shoulder doesn't move. It's like someone sprayed like spray foam insulation into your shoulder and it goes from 0 to 10 on the pain scale, like immediately. Make yourself at home Friday, seriously. So this time around, when I started feeling the twinges of pain, I went to the doctor right away because I'm like, I know what that is. And I was right that the pain was the same, but on the other side. And so the treatment plan is different because it's not completely frozen. So they're like, we're going to put you on some high test steroids and some anti-inflammatory, see if we can get the swelling down a little bit inside the inflammation. And then we're going to come up with a treatment plan that involves, that's my headphones, Friday. I need those on my head. That involves chiropractic adjustments, physical therapy, stretching, medication, diet, whatever it is. I just said I want you to throw the kitchen sink at it because what I don't want to have happen is for me to lose the use of my arm for the next 2 years like I did with this one. So we're throwing the kitchen sink at this one. What's up, Ed? He says, hey, Carrie, what's up in the War Room family? Welcome to the new family members, says Donna. What's up, Annette? Marcy says, hey, Mistress Carrie and the Pug family. My dad had an MRI, says Jessica. I had an MRI done on this one. And it's pretty easy to diagnose just based on the symptoms. So they know that I have it in this one. And they already warned me that once you have it in one shoulder and then you get it in the other, that you could get it in the other one back. Because you favor, so all the time this was a bad shoulder. Now I'm overusing this one to compensate. And now that I'm trying not to use this one, I'm overusing this one to compensate. And this one could inflame again. So I'm doing everything I can to try and keep it from freezing completely, and that includes the steroids. So, yeah, I've been hyper. I've been doing all kinds of stuff around the house because I feel superhuman. And the problem is you feel great. You feel bulletproof on the steroids, but it is completely unhealthy for you to be on them for a long period of time. And so they taper you off because you can't just like go off the cliff cold turkey. I am in the taper now. What's up, Eric? Carol says, I cannot see the comments. Can everybody else see the comments? Jessica says, hi, Friday. Annette says, I grind my teeth and about 25 years ago, my jaw locked up, very painful. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. It just kills. Ralph says, what's up, Carrie? Wednesday and Friday. I saw Emperor last night at the Palladium. Awesome show. Donna says, never mind, it's gone. Oh, are you talking about the St. Patrick's Day graphic in the corner? I saw it. I'll drink for the mistake. Girls, what's happening back there? Why are you hiding behind me? What are you doing that's bad? They're fighting over a toy or something. See, even a few days ago, I couldn't have even reached my arm back like this. So the steroids are totally helping, but damn. It's like I want to tear my house down and rebuild it, like that much energy. But I can't keep taking them. The doctor told me like, I have a very high threshold for pain, I was told, and I have a very low threshold when it comes to like mind altering substances. So when it comes to booze, I'm a lightweight, always have been. And when it comes to drugs, like they hit me like that. Even like Advil and over-the-counter stuff like really work well for me. I don't know why. So the steroids right now have got me like, told you, I warned you, I was going to be hyper today. Gordon on YouTube says, hey, MC, a friend from Worcester turned me on to you. I'm in Auburn, Maine, above Portland. So I'm assuming, Gordon, that you listen to 106.3 The Bone every weekday afternoon. That would be my assumption. Eric says, I saw your War Room shirt at Gaga's Mayhem Ball. Wait, who was wearing it? Did you get pictures? I had to reload the page to get the comments to work. Didn't see any of the comments until I reloaded the page, says Mr. Voorhees. Well, there you go. We saw you at Six String before COVID missed WAF shows. Thank you, Bex, on Instagram. Thanks for joining us here in the war room. Road rage, says Brett. Yeah, exactly. Donna says, yes, I see the comments. Exit out and come back in, and they will work. What's up, Jonathan? Chris says, thank you for all you do for the veterans. You are very welcome. We got to talk about a couple of veteran-related things a little bit later on in the show, so don't go anywhere. So the first thing we always do is show you the pug cam. This is what the pugs are doing right now. They are starting to mellow out after their fist fight, but Friday is still trying to play tug of war with the toys. With Wednesday just wants to hold the toy. Friday's being the little shit trying to get Wednesday to play. And Wednesday's like, look, man, I just want to chill. I just want to hang out on the green couch in the war room with a toy in my mouth, and you're being a shithead. And now Friday's going to pick a fight. This is what happens. She's a little shit stirrer. And then Wednesday's going to have to defend herself. This is literally all day, every day, which is why sometimes I can't let them into the studio, because they do this while I'm on the air and while I'm recording the podcast. Can you guys just behave? Can you be nice and just be friendly? Oh, that's very nice. Yeah, see, they're kissing now. That's very nice. Eric says, it was a dude that I saw at Lady Gaga wearing a Cocktails in the War Room shirt. That's amazing. I don't know who it was that was at Gaga at the TD Garden, but that's awesome. What's up, Michelle? How are you guys doing? Jessica says, your pugs are so adorable. Beck says, my dogs are the reason I get nothing done. Yeah, I totally understand. All right, for anybody that's just joining us here in the war room and you're like, wait, is this the same Mistress Carrie? Yes. So I posted the picture of me and Roger Clemens up on the 98 Rock Facebook page in Charleston. And people instantly, because I must have just tripped the algorithm somehow, people immediately started messaging, wait, is this the same Mistress Carrie from the Northeast that's on the air in Charleston? I moved down here like 9 years ago. This is amazing. So for anybody that is all of a sudden finding me on Instagram or on YouTube or on Twitch or on Facebook, and you have not seen me pop up in your algorithm before, yes, I'm the same Mistress Carrie. No, I didn't die 6 years ago when the radio station got sold. And yes, I'm back on the radio, and there's a bunch of different places you can hear me, including every weekday on 98 Rock in Charleston, South Carolina. You can download the 98 Rock app in the App Store, or just go to my98rock.com and you can stream the station from anywhere. You can hear me every weekday afternoon on 100 FM The Pike here in central Massachusetts. On Friday, I was broadcasting live from Polar Park for the home opener of the Woo Sox, the Red Sox minor league team. A little staff picture with some of the people at the Pike. And here I am with the Rocket, Roger Clemens. So Roger Clemens doesn't really go anywhere alone, right? He's got like handlers and people, and he's at a baseball game with thousands of Red Sox fans. So he's got a police detail with him. And from the third to the sixth inning, he came out to the Sherwood Diner to take pictures with people. And that's where I was broadcasting. So he showed up, and I had been told by the team he was going to be there and that I should be able to get him on the air, but it's whatever he wants to do. It's his show kind of thing. And so I'm hanging out there, and it was like he wanted to take pictures with as many people as he could. He was personable. There had been a lot of things said about Roger Clemens over the years. You get him on a good day, you get him on a bad day. Of course, Red Sox fans were mad that he went to the Evil Empire. We didn't even want to go there. But one thing I do know that pisses Roger Clemens off is that he does not like talking about the Hall of Fame. So I also know that he's a huge music fan. So I was like, okay, I'm going to play a little gag. I'm going to just poke him a little, but not in an asshole way. And so when I finally, after he took pictures with literally thousands of people, they were closing up the Sherwood Diner and kind of shutting down the line. And I was like, hey, will you come on the air with me for a couple minutes? And he was like, yeah, sure. So we were talking about the importance of a good catcher for a pitcher. We were talking about injuries that he caused on pitchers because of how fast he can throw the ball. And then I said, listen, I want to talk to you about the Hall of Fame. And when I tell you, his face went, and he immediately started looking around the room like, who's going to get me out of here, right? And then I had on my laptop on the counter the fan voting graphic for the Rock Hall for the class of 2026. And I said, look, this on my show, the Hall of Fame we talk about the most is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I spun the computer around and I was like, Roger, I want you to give me your take on the nominated class of 2026 for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. His demeanor completely changed. The look on his face completely changed because I know he's a huge music guy. And immediately he leaned over the counter, he's studying the list, and he's like, well, you know, I'm a big music fan. And I was like, I know. And then he was a completely different guy. But I wanted to see what would happen if I just said the Hall of Fame, because I knew he would assume baseball when really we all know I meant the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So he also told a really funny story about going on stage, I believe at the Boston Garden, with Elton John. He brought him a custom Elton John Red Sox jersey while he was still playing for the Sox and coming out to Rocket Man every night. Let's see. Eric says he had man boobs, so I automatically thought Greg, but this guy looked like Edgar Who. Oh, you're talking about the guy at Lady Gaga with my shirt on. Okay. Mr. Voorhees says, haven't seen a new comment in 4 minutes. Now something weird is happening. I think the video is fine, but the comments are not working here. Mr. Voorhees, that's very strange because my comments are working good. Mr. Cole says, that's a good shot. The engineer was doing the photo bomb, and in a lot of the pictures that got taken at the diner, hilarious. What's up, Don LeBlanc? He says, what's up, everybody here in the War Room on Facebook? Let's see. This happens to me sometimes. I toggle between top comments and live comments. Tracy giving me the laughing emojis. My buddy Ian is joining us on Instagram, and I'm not going to get into specifics, although I will say, Ian, when I tell you who's on the podcast this week, which is going to be in a couple of minutes, there is a similar story with my guest on the podcast this week. But my buddy Ian paid a visit to my old condo back in the day. He's an old skydiving buddy of mine. And let's just say we have a laugh every time he brings up the bathroom story. That's all I'm going to say. Donna says, Carrie, you always know how to hook people in. I wanted to see what he would say because I knew he was a big music fan. And I knew as soon as I told him, talking about Roger Clemens, that I wanted to talk to him about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, that he would laugh. Roger Clemens, by the way, thinks that Pink, Phil Collins, INXS, and Iron Maiden 100% belong in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And of course, I could not agree more. So to finish up the list of radio stations where you can find me every weekday, you can hear me in Portland, Maine on 106.3 The Bone, at 1063thebone.com every weekday from 3 to 7. So if you're listening up in Maine, that's probably where you're listening from. And the newest addition to the lineup is Laser 99.3 and 98.5 in Springfield, Mass. You can download the Laser app. You can stream the station at laser993.com. All this week, every weekday morning from 6 to 10, I have got Black Label Society tickets to give away. And all week on the Pike this week, I have got Godsmack tickets to give away. So you've got to be listening for your chances to win tickets this week. So we did not get together in the War Room last week, and I got to apologize for that. So a lot of people always ask me, because of the War Room, the podcast episodes that I'm always recording for the podcast, which comes out every Wednesday, and then all the different radio shows, how I get it all done. And well, it's all time management. Like literally there's a clock on every wall in my entire house. But the problem is when anything extra gets added into my schedule, whether it be personal, like I go to a party or a family gathering, whether it's an extra work thing, like it's appearances or I host a charity event, whatever it is, if I do too much with my voice and I don't counteract that by taking quiet time on the weekends, my voice gets strained. It happens sometimes when I get sick. It happens the change of the seasons. It happens when things dry out in the fall. And last week, my voice was starting to get so hoarse. and I can't afford to get laryngitis and lose it all together. So that's why we didn't get together in the war room last week, because I could feel my voice going and I could not have my voice be completely gone. So I needed the rest last week. So because we didn't get together last week, we did not recap episode 302 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. Taylor Momsen from The Pretty Reckless talking about the upcoming album Dear God that's coming out on June 26th. Talking about another leg of the AC/DC Power Up Tour, which, by the way, all this week on the Pike, we're qualifying people to text in and qualify for a trip for two to Vegas, not only to see AC/DC at Allegiant Stadium in Vegas, but to see Taylor Momsen and The Pretty Reckless as well. So Taylor Momsen talking a lot about how she thinks this new album, she's in love with it because she says it feels so much like her, like this new album is right out of her diary, that with all of the loss that she sustained following some close friends and obviously Chris Cornell years back, that this new album is a new era in the band, and she's incredibly excited about the chances that she's taking and the things that she's doing. So if you missed out on episode 302 of the Mistress Carrie podcast, we talked a lot about that. Last week on episode 303 of the Mistress Carrie podcast, I talked to Gary Holt from Exodus and Slayer. And you want to hear a hilarious take on the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Last week's podcast episode, and Gary Holt from Exodus, he did not hold back. We talked about his first guitar. We talked about touring. We talked about keeping a band together all these years. We talked about reuniting with singers after they left the band and came back. We talked about marriage. There's a lot of stuff in here. So last week's episode 303, Gary Holt from Exodus. This week, episode 304 of the Mistress Carrie podcast goes live at midnight tonight. And Wes Scantlin from Puddle of Mudd, who has not been on the show since December of 2020, he was on episode 28. So when people talk about the launch of the Mistress Carrie podcast and they talk about the artists that early on agreed to come on the show, Wes was one of those guys. Now, he is never far from the headlines, doing rock radio on multiple radio stations. Every time Wes Scantlin does something, a run-in with the law, like something, it makes the news, and you never know what's going to come out of his mouth. Right now, it seems like Wes Scantlin is on the good side of his journey with sobriety. He is still supporting last year's album, Kiss the Machine. He's currently working on new music. He's even working on a book with his brother and a movie. And the concept of the movie is pretty interesting. He was holed up in Vegas doing interviews for the new video for the song Free. And that's where I caught up with him last week. You never know what he's going to say. And he said some pretty wacky stuff on this episode. So episode 304 of the Mistress Carrie podcast with Wes Scantlin from Puddle of Mudd goes live at midnight tonight. So there you go. Let's see. Ian, there is a poop story coming from Wes Scantlin from Puddle of Mudd in this week's episode. That's all you need to know. Sherry says, oh my God, the bone. No comments again, says Carol. What's up, Christopher Crossan, who says, love you, Carrie. Chris says he's going to see Black Label Society this Thursday. That would be down in Connecticut. Black Label Society, the tickets I'm giving away this week on Laser are for the Saturday night show at the MGM Music Hall at Fenway. Jessica, he is a very interesting guy. There's a lot going on with Wes Scantlin. He is never one to hold his tongue. You never know what is going to come out of his mouth. Interviewing him is a full contact sport, and you'll hear it in this week's episode. He answers questions the way he wants to answer them, not necessarily the way that you ask them. And you really have to be ready, willing, and able to fly by the seat of your pants, because you never know what's going to come out of his mouth, and you just got to keep it rolling. So it's a pretty funny episode. If you guys listen to this one, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But episode 304 of the podcast goes live at midnight. Let's see. Hopefully he's doing better. He seems to be. He was with his manager, who I've known for a long time, and she kind of handles all of his stuff, all of his music stuff, his press stuff, all of the kind of tertiary projects, his travel. Like, she kind of handles everything. And, when someone is on a sobriety journey, and I actually asked him this question, normally a sobriety journey is not a straight line from point A to point B. And a lot of the people I know that got sober tripped and fell along the way. It's something that getting sober or giving up any kind of addiction, whether it's smoking, whether it's food, whether it's sex, whether it's shopping, whatever your addiction is, you can never really get over it until you are completely ready to get over it. And so sometimes you try to quit smoking because of your spouse or your partner or your kids, or you try to quit smoking because it's expensive, or you try to get sober because people asked you to. But until you make the decision to go, I'm going to stop doing this for myself, and you really commit to doing it for yourself and no one else, that journey can be a jagged line. And so all you can do is just hope that when someone recommits themselves to their sobriety, that this is going to be the time that it sticks. And so that's what I hope for him. So Eric says, any news on the Ozzy biopic and the Back to the Beginning concert film? So it's an Ozzy and Sharon biopic, and it's supposed to tell the story of their marriage. Now, the last I heard was from Sharon and Jack Osbourne when they talked about it on an episode of the Osbournes podcast. And they basically said that there was a director attached to it, that they were looking for the right actors and actresses, but it was not just going to focus on Ozzy's music career, but it was going to kind of focus on Sharon and Ozzy and the universe of music, because obviously Sharon was his manager. And so there's been no word yet about when it's coming out, but they are moving ahead with it. Sharon, and it seems Jack and Kelly, are focused on doing a lot of Ozzy's legacy stuff. So there is the concert film from the Back to the Beginning concert. I don't know when that's coming out. There's the biopic about Ozzy and Sharon. And then there's also the relaunch of the Ozfest coming next year as well. See you later, Chris. Thank you for hanging out with us in the war room. Hillary says on Instagram, you are so right, mistress. Yeah, I've had a lot of friends that have gone on sobriety journeys. And I even said it to Wes Scantlin on this week's episode. I'm fortunate that if addiction is a genetic compulsion, if it is something you are predisposed, that it is not something that has affected people in my family. And so I'm very grateful for that. So I don't understand a lot of how addiction manifests itself with people, because I smoked years ago, like when I was in high school and college, and then I just decided to quit, and I did. And there are people that try and try and try and try and try. My mom quit smoking, I can't even tell you how many times, before she finally quit for good. And it should have been a symptom of her illness that we picked up on. But when my mom started smoking again, we should have known that something was going on, because basically she forgot that she quit smoking and she just started smoking again. And we should have known that it was something going on with dementia, and we didn't pick up on it at the time, but it was a symptom of it. But yeah, there's a lot going on with Ozzy, with all of these movies, but they have not announced anything. Bish says, I'm an emotional eater with depression. Got right, lost 200 pounds, and it has to start with you. Yeah, I think if there's anything, my sister and I joke all of the time that we could quit almost anything but bread and cheese, which is just, I don't know how to give those things up, nor do I want to. But I could give up meat, I could give up alcohol, I could give up so many other things before I would be willing to give up like the food that I love. So Donna says, congratulations on your sobriety to everybody. Chris says, thank you. Hillary says, I think it might depend on the addiction, whether it's chemical, mental, or both. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that you're dealing with brain chemistry. You're dealing with addiction is so attached to emotional and spiritual kind of well-being. And so it's such an individual journey that there's no kind of rubber stamp about getting over it. And so, I kind of asked Wes about how he looks at handling and kind of navigating his triggers. And so all of these answers are in this week's podcast episode. So if you subscribe to the Mistress Carrie podcast, not only do you get the weekly episodes every Wednesday, but Monday through Friday, you get the Sit Rep, which is rock news, music headlines, entertainment updates. It uploads super early in the morning. So no matter what time you wake up in the morning, you just check the Mistress Carrie podcast, subscribe on your favorite podcast app, and there'll be a sit rep waiting for you to fill you in on everything that's going on in music, in rock. It's 5 minutes long, and then you get on with your day. And then there's also mini sit reps that you'll hear all day on laser993.com and laser985.com, or laser 993 and 98.5, or laser993.com. And there's also sit reps on 106.3 The Bone in Portland, Maine as well, to keep you up to date with everything that's going on throughout the day. Eric says, gotta get going. My little girl is getting jaw realignment surgery tomorrow with her new TMJ specialist. They literally have to break her jaw, a 1-year-old, and she already had 4 procedures. Eric, I am so sorry. Hopefully this is going to be what fixes it, and we're all sending you love. Please join us in the War Room next week so you can give us an update and let us know how she's doing. Chris says, hopefully they share the parts where Sharon scammed most of the people that helped Ozzy's success. Look, if Sharon Osbourne's producing the movie, it's not going to make her look bad. I mean, let's be honest. Annie Joan joining us in the War Room. What's up? Keith saying what's up to Annie Joan. Donna says, hope it all goes well with the surgery. May she have a very speedy recovery. Any news on Jelly Roll? Jessica wants to know. Not other than just the fact that he's literally killing it with everything that he's doing right now. See you later, Chris. What's up, Lou? Joining us on Instagram. So if you're looking for the Mistress Carrie podcast, still holding strong in 149 countries. Maybe someday we'll hit 150. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I'm hoping it happens at some point. If you're celebrating your birthday, first of all, it's not St. Patrick's Day anymore. How did all this St. Patrick's Day stuff stick around? First of all, I'll drink for the mistake on the screen. And if you're celebrating your birthday today, you're sharing it with Angus Young from AC/DC, who I believe is 71 years old today. Paul Ferguson from Killing Joke, and also Mick Ralphs from Mott the Hoople. So happy birthday. Happy unbirthday, Keith. Cheers to you guys. Let's see. Drink again, says Donna. Yes, I know, Donna. Mistake police. All right, let's talk about some stuff that's going on in music. The leaderboard for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame fan vote. So this got taken about a half hour ago. So this is about the most up-to-date voting. So you can see everybody that's yellow, they get a little bit extra of a kiss when it comes to the voting kind of class. It's like the Academy Awards. There's like an academy that gets to vote on it. So in the fan voting, it helps, but it does not guarantee that they will get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Now, I am going to throw out a conspiracy theory. Iron Maiden has been nominated 3 times. They have not gotten in yet. It quietly, the Rock Hall has very specific kind of criteria when they induct a band. Let's use Kiss, for example. When they inducted Kiss into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, not every Kiss member got in. The original 4 got in, but the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame kind of has these rules for bands that have multiple members, who gets in and who doesn't. And they very quietly added Blaze Bayley's name to the list of members of Iron Maiden that should Maiden get into the Rock Hall, Blaze Bayley would get added as a member of the band. Tim Ripper Owens is not getting in. Oh no, that's Judas Priest. Sorry, he didn't get in for Judas Priest, is why I wanted to bring him up. So hold on. I want to make sure that you guys hear me properly. Can you guys hear me? Or can you hear me better? Because something came unplugged. So I just want to make sure you guys can still hear me. I don't understand what the criteria is or how they make these decisions, but my conspiracy leads me to believe that now that they've added Blaze Bayley to the band members, that this is the year Iron Maiden is going to get in. And maybe that was a thing with Iron Maiden, that they were like, we don't even want to be in unless Blaze Bayley's going to be in there. Oasis is not in there yet. They're down on the list above Joy Division, New Order. What's up, Chris Mann says, admired you for decades since WAF. Glad to see you're still out there and still killing it. Thank you very much. Can definitely hear you better, says Ash. Yeah, the microphone cord was jiggling a little loose. It may have been during the pug melee earlier, but I just kind of noticed that the microphone cord, I pushed it all the way back in again. So it's better now. That's what I figured. Better. You were echoey before. That's because of the fact that the War Room is not soundproof the way that MCHQ is. What's up, Christine? Joining us on Facebook. Joy Division belongs in there and should have been in years ago. Look, I agree. Like, there are a lot of people that are upset that there are artists that should have gotten in a long time ago. Like Phil Collins should have gotten in as a solo artist so that he could have still played the drums at the induction ceremony. And now the poor guy's like in a wheelchair and he's finally going to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? It's that kind of thing. Like Michael Hutchence in INXS, he's not going to be there to perform if they get inducted this year. Billy Idol is 70. Can we get Billy Idol in there while he's still young enough to be able to perform? Like Iron Maiden, they're still selling out stadiums 50 years later. They should have gotten in. They've been eligible since 2005. Oasis, the Black Crowes belong in there. I mean, everybody on this list belongs in there. It's just that they're not all going to get in. So I hear you much better now, MC, says Kevin. I thought it was my phone, says Donna. No, it was a loose cord. I just noticed that it must have been while the dogs were like wrestling and stuff, and it just came loose a little bit. All right, one of the other things I wanted to talk about, over the weekend, the Juno Awards happened in Canada, and it was the first time in 11 years that Rush performed as Rush. They've performed twice as Geddy Lee and Alex Lifeson, including at the Taylor Hawkins tribute show at Wembley, but it was the debut of the touring incarnation of Rush that's going out with Annika Niles playing drums in tribute to Neil Peart. And there were a lot of people that were questioning, would she be able to handle it? And if you go and watch the performance, Rush was a surprise guest at the Juno Awards. She handled it just fine. And the other thing is, did you see Nickelback and Megan Thee Stallion in the new Cheetos, the Hot Cheetos pickle commercial? It's like a little mini film. It's like 5 minutes long. But basically, Megan Thee Stallion saying that she wanted her pickle back, and they misheard her and thought she said Nickelback, and then Nickelback ends up in the commercial. If you had told me that Nickelback and Megan Thee Stallion doing Hot Pickle Cheetos was going to be in my 2026 bingo card, I would not have believed you. But of course, Chad Kroeger wrote and rewrote lyrics for, I believe, How You Remind Me for the commercial. Yeah, exactly. It was sad that Soundgarden finally got in after Chris Cornell passed. Exactly. What's up, Emma? Joining us on Facebook. Lou says the Black Crowes don't care about getting into the Hall of Fame. I know they don't. And when I ask a lot of artists about the Hall, the younger artists or like the more punk or like heavy metal artists will say, I don't care. However, I've interviewed members of the Zombies and Foreigner and Bad Company and artists like that who, when they get older, especially if they're an artist that maybe didn't have mass appeal success in their heyday. Because Alice Cooper told me and talked to me, because he gets a vote. When he was on the podcast years ago, he said, when I vote, it's not just about popularity. It's not just about album sales. It's not just about concert tickets sold. It's about impact. It's about influence. They don't have to be the most popular band in the world, but if music is different because they were there, then they deserve to be into the Rock Hall. And so it's those artists that I think it matters more, because they never got the commercial success. They never sold out the stadiums, but so many bands that did sell out the stadiums credit those bands with inspiring them. And so there are bands that have gotten older and been like, you know what? We feel like our legacy is intact. We feel like we are finally being appreciated for our small contribution and piece of the puzzle in music, and those are the bands that it means, I think, the most to. I think the big commercial bands, I think people that kind of want to act like they don't care, like, most of the guys from Rage Against the Machine didn't show up. The Van Halen debacle, like, there are those bands that are just like, I don't care, I don't want to deal with it. But I think that, look, if there's the Radio Hall of Fame or the Mass Broadcasters Association, do I do what I do because I want to be given awards for it? No. But if I were nominated for induction into the Broadcasters Hall of Fame or the Radio Hall of Fame or the Massachusetts Broadcasters Association Hall of Fame, would I be honored? Yes. Would I be honored to be nominated? Yes. Would I want to get in? Yes. Would I go to the induction? Yes. It's not why I do what I do. I'm still going to get up out of bed even if I don't get in or if I never get nominated. But being recognized, I think, by your peers for your hard work and dedication and your influence. The Black Crowes say they don't care, but as a Black Crowes fan, I care that I believe they should be in there. I look at the Rock Hall as a museum, as a time capsule of the legacy and history of rock and roll, and I believe the Black Crowes have an important part in that, and I want them in there. So there you go. Steve Gorman is now a DJ, but Steve Gorman's got his own radio show. He's a nationally syndicated radio DJ. So there you go. Then there's the Nickelback commercial I wanted to talk to you guys about. So a bunch of shows have gotten added. I want to breeze through some. I'm sure I forgot some, but over the last couple of weeks, a ton of tours have gotten announced, including Weezer, who's going to be at the TD Garden on September 27th. So just a reminder, all of the shows that you're going to see on your screen, these are all the New England shows. The national tours, obviously, depending on where you're watching and joining us in the War Room from, you can find dates near you, but all the New England shows are up on the concert calendar if you go to mistresscarrie.com. So Weezer and Gorillaz got added over the last couple of weeks to the TD Garden. DCU Center shows, the next one up as far as rock concerts go, Bring Me the Horizon is a month away. Journey will be there in June. Big Night Live, President, who was with Wage War at the TD Garden earlier in March, just announced a headlining tour. They're going to be at Big Night Live September 13th. Those announced for July 18th. Also, Baby Metal and Hailstorm got announced today. That show is on Friday. That show is September 10th. Tickets go on sale next Friday, April 10th. Also, there is, there was another show. Let's see. Lou says you're breaking up again. I didn't know Journey was still playing. They are. This is their final Frontier tour. They're going to be at the DCU Center on June 6th. Pussifer is going to be at the Wang this weekend. Lamb of God at Mohegan. Post Malone and Jelly Roll in Hartford this summer. Motionless in White is going to be in New Hampshire, in Hartford. or at the Hartford Healthcare Amphitheater. Shinedown has got their shows on the Dance Kid Dance Act 2 tour at the Mohegan and the SNHU Arena. Rush, who we were just talking about, Jeff Tate just announced that the third and final chapter in the Operation Mindcrime trilogy, that album's coming out this summer, and he just announced he's going out on the road this fall. Jeff Tate has got a show. He's going to be up at Aura. He's going to be at the Tupelo Music Hall in Derry, New Hampshire, and also at the Cabot Theater in Beverly. Gin Blossoms with Blues Traveler and the Spin Doctors, also The Fray, Dashboard Confessional, Yellow Card, Toto and Christopher Cross, John Fogerty, OAR. Fenway Park has got Mumford & Sons and Fish announced as the closest thing to rock shows so far this summer. The signal keeps popping in and out. I don't know why it's like that. Emma says Guar is heading for Fort Worth, Indiana. And you're back, says Donna. Any news on Papa Roach? Other than we're supposed to be getting some kind of a new album from Papa Roach at some point this year. No, nothing yet. Let's see. Lacuna Coil, Des Rocks, Clutch and Corrosion, 0936, Slaughter to Prevail, Magnolia Park, Black Veil Brides, Wage War, and Kid be there in September, plus Echo and the Bunnymen, Kill Switch, Poppy, all headed to be there this weekend. Bush will be there on the 12th, Lamb of God on the 25th, Death Clock, and Amon Amarth, Bill Murray, Abel and the Sniffers, also Jimmy Eat World. I didn't know John Fogerty was still touring. He is. Bruins won 5-2. That is fantastic. Lou says, I can hear your voice, but the video is frozen. Not sure why. Those shows all. David Lee Roth, Wolf Mother, Tomahawk, Dogstar. The Pretty Reckless announced their tour. They are going to be at the Hampton Beach Casino Ballroom on the 22nd of September and at the House of Blues Rock Club. The Circle Jerks, April 9th and 10th, and also the Eagles of Death Metal just announced they're going to be at the Paradise on August 16th. City Winery Boston has got the Nelson Brothers acoustic at the end of April. Ann Wilson is doing a screening of her documentary about her life on June 1st. She's going to be there with the film's director doing a Q&A after the movie. And then a spoken word tour with Stuart Copeland from The Police is going to be at City Winery Boston on July 9th. And again, all of these shows are listed on the concert calendar if you just go to mistresscarrie.com. New releases coming out this Friday. Thundercat has got Distracted. Trey Anastasio has got Live and Acoustic. And Zachary Baker's Avenged Sevenfold, Zachy Vengeance, has got the Dark Horses album coming out on Friday. So drink again. Yes, fine. There you go. Okay. Mail call quickly. Got my Snoopy card. It says, hope the Easter Beagle is extra good to you this year. P.S. I owe Wednesday and Friday a box. Sorry, pups. May you and your family have a blessed day. Love, Denise. Denise sent me cookies. Denise, first of all, the card smells like the cookies. Second of all, the cookies are already in the cookie jar. That's why they're not here in the war room. So thank you for the Easter basket. My whole family decided this year we're going out for Easter dinner together. So we're going out to a restaurant rather than have dinner in the privacy of someone's home. So if you end up at the restaurant near us and my family on Easter, I just want to apologize ahead of time. Michael says, Voorhees says on YouTube, Facebook is having lots of problems with dropouts. Even YouTube is a bit choppy, although it is much better than Facebook. That's really weird. I'm wondering if it's an internet thing. It's raining. You never know. Like something could be going on with the internet. Not quite sure. Designs for new tank tops and stuff for the summertime. But the plugins, Jack Rack, keychains, and keychain wall mount. Those are available. The reflective beanies and, of course, the sticker packs got expanded. And as everybody's getting ready to go out on the motorcycles, the I Rode with Mistress Carrie helmet stickers are. And I will let you guys know we'll do another one at the end of April. So we'll reschedule a live stream for you guys. We do it every month. We get together live on Zoom. I'll talk about the podcast. You can submit podcast interview questions. You find out about event information. You get early access to ticket inside info, and you also get concert ticket giveaways. And that includes, if you're a Backstage Pass holder right now, you have access to tickets to go see Black Label Society this Saturday night. You have access to Lamb of God tickets. You have access to Death Clock and Amon Amarth tickets, and also Five Finger Death Punch tickets. So Backstage Pass holders, if you don't have one, plus merch discount codes, go to patreon.com/Mistress Carrie and get a Backstage Pass, or just hit the Patreon logo at mistresscarrie.com, or the radio station websites and radio station websites as well. Congratulations and thank you to the over 5,400 people that have found the Mistress Carrie Veterans Rock Group on Facebook. It's a place to share veteran-related information and resources, to support veterans-based nonprofits, to also volunteer if you're a veteran-owned business trying to get the word out, if you are a business looking to hire veterans, if you're a civilian just looking to support our veterans community. There's a lot going on in the world with the military right now, and our veterans are going to need our support. I did want to tip you guys off, because I know there's a lot of veterans that join us here in the War Room. I went to get some stamps at the post office, and they have printed military branch emblem stamps for all of the branches of the military. So you can get Marine stamps, Army stamps, Navy stamps, Air Force stamps, Space Force stamps. So if you're a veteran and you want stamps for the branch of service that you served in, those stamps are available at the post office. So the Veterans Rock Group on Facebook, constantly sharing information about events and stuff. And also legislation, just anything veteran related. It is not a place to debate politics. It's a place to share information, to allow people to network with the veterans community, and also to support the veterans community. So, Bish says, what about the War Room banana hammocks? Did you hear the Zakk Wylde Ozzy tribute song? Yes. So Black Label Society released Engines of Demolition, the new album, on Friday, and they did a live premiere on Veeps of the song, Ozzy's song. So Zakk Wylde talked a little bit about the song. He's had the music written for a long time, but he said he always writes the music first, and then he kind of figures out what he wants to write the lyrics about and the melody later. He said that they played a show at Jones Beach in New York with Pantera. It poured rain like it did when he played there with Ozzy. And then he went to the memorial service, and then he went home and was looking through a photo book of memories with Ozzy, and he wrote the lyrics to the song late at night. The video, if you have not seen it, for Ozzy's song is up on the Black Label Society YouTube channel, and it is a tearjerker with just so many pictures of Zakk and Ozzy's life with his family, with Sabbath, with all of the different musicians that played in Ozzy's solo band. So if you haven't checked it out yet, go to the Black Label Society YouTube channel and look up the video for Ozzy's song. It's a very, very touching song for sure. So if you are on Facebook, if you're a veteran, if you want to support veterans, just go to the Mistress Carrie Veterans Rock Facebook group. It's open to the public, but it is only open to discuss veteran-related things. It's not a place to talk about music. It's not a place to, argue about politics or to do anything else. This is strictly to support veterans. So there you go, guys. That is, I bawled too when I saw it, Bish. You're not alone. So there you go. Episode 344 of the Mistress Carrie podcast. Episode 344 of the War Room. Episode 304 of the podcast goes live at midnight tonight with Wes Scantlin from Puddle of Mud. The Celtics are in the playoffs. The Bruins won tonight. Baseball is back. The Super Bowl got announced. It's going back to Vegas in 2029. There's a lot going on. So there you go, guys. I'll let you check in. Hold on one more time. Wednesday is unconscious. Friday is on the other side of me over here. They finally have passed out. Wednesday, you're being very good. You're being very good too, Friday, now that you've relaxed and chilled out. So that's it, guys. I will see you guys next week. Subscribe to the podcast. Track it down on your favorite podcast app. And April Fool's is tomorrow. Beware. For everybody that celebrates, Easter is coming up this weekend. So happy Easter. And I will see you guys in the War Room next week. So good night, guys. Say good night, Wednesday.